only your beginner plan. So listen, if you guys have ever wanted to read the entire Bible, you are in the right place. Hit that notification bell. We meet every morning at 5:30, except on the weekends. But we are following the 52-week Bible study for women. It takes sections of scripture, it puts it into weekly themes, and this whole week is about the gift of forgiveness and how that leads us on this path forward. And it's such an extraordinary gift. I'm Anna, by the way. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. We're going to be reading in First Chronicles 10 through 14. My reflection question for you is this: Saul's downfall came from turning away from the Lord. Where do I see the temptation to rely on my own strength instead of seeking God first? You can find this below. It's free, it's optional, but it's there for you if you want it. All right, well, we've got quite a long reading today. First Chronicles 10 through 14. So we're going to get started right away. Saul takes his life. Now the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell dead on Mount Gilboa. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm waking up still. The Philistines were in hot pursuit of Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him. Saul said to his armor bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and abuse me." But his armor bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died. So Saul and his 3 sons died, and all his house died together. When all the Israelites in the valley saw that the army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their own and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him and took his head and his armor and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. They put his armor in the temple of their gods and hung up his head in the temple of Dagon. When all the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their valiant men went and took the bodies of Saul and his sons and brought them to Jabesh. There they buried their bones under the great tree in Jabesh, and they fasted 7 days. Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord and even consulted a medium for guidance and did not inquire of the Lord. So the Lord put him to death and turned the kingdom over to David, son of Jesse. Chapter 11, David becomes king over Israel. All Israel came together to David at Hebron and said, "We are your own flesh and blood. In the past, even while Saul was king, you were the one who led Israel on their military campaigns, and the Lord your God said to you, 'You will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become their ruler.'" When all the elders of Israel had come to King David at Hebron, he made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel, as the Lord had promised through Samuel. Verse 4, David conquers Jerusalem. David and all the Israelites marched to Jerusalem, that is, Jebus. The Jebusites who lived there said to David, "You will not get in here." Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion, which is the city of David. David had said, "Whoever leads the attack on the Jebusites will become commander-in-chief." Joab, son of Zeruiah, went up first, and so he received the command. David then took up residence in the fortress, and so it was called the City of David. He built up the city around it, from the terraces to the surrounding walls, while Joab restored the rest of the city. And David became more and more powerful, because the Lord Almighty was with him. Verse 10, David's mighty warriors. These were the chiefs of David's mighty warriors. They, together with all Israel, gave his kingship strong support to extend it over the whole land as the Lord had promised. This is the list of David's mighty warriors. Jeshobeam, and a Hakamite, was chief of the officers. He raised his spear against 300 men, whom he killed in one encounter. Next to him was Eleazar, son of Dodai, the Ahohite, one of the 3 mighty warriors. He was with David at Pas Damin, when the Philistines gathered there for battle. At a place where there was a field full of barley, the troops fled from the Philistines, but they took their stand in the middle of the field. They defended it and struck the Philistines down, and the Lord brought out a great victory. 3 of the 30 chiefs came down to David to the rock at the cave of Adullam, while the band of Philistines was encamped in the valley of Raphaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. David longed for water and said, "Oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem." So the three broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. But he refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out to the Lord. "God forbid that I should do this," he said. "Should I drink the blood of these men who went at the risk of their lives?" Because they risked their lives to bring it back, David would not drink it. Such were the exploits of the three mighty warriors. Abishai, the brother of Joab, was chief of the three. He raised his spear against 300 men, whom he killed, and so he became as famous as the three. He was doubly honored above the three and became their commander, even though he was not included among them. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's two mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion, and he struck down an Egyptian who was 5 cubits tall. Although the Egyptians had a spear like a weaver's rod in his hand, Benaiah went against him with a club. He snatched the spear from the Egyptian's hand and killed him with his own spear. Such were the exploits of Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. He too was famous as the three mighty warriors. He was held in greater honor than any of the 30, but he was not included among the three, and David put him in charge of his bodyguard. The mighty warriors were Ashel, the brother of Joab, Elhanan, son of Dodo from Bethlehem, Shemoth the Hararite, Helez the Pelonite, Ira, son of Ikish from Tekoa, Abizar from Anathoth, Shabbakai the Hushathite, Eli the Ahohite, Maharai the Nephtotite, Heled, son of Banan the Nephatite, Ithai, son of Rabbi from Gibbeth in Benjamin, Benaiah the Parathonite, Hurai from the ravines of Gash, Abel the Arbathite, Asmaveth the Bahuramite, Elabah the Shabanite, the sons of Hashem the Gizonite, Jonathan, son of Shagi the Hararite, Abiham, son of Sakar the Hararite, Eliphal, son of Hefer, son of Mecharathite, Ahijah the Pelonite, Hizro the Camelite, Neri, son of Isbah, Joel the brother of Nathan, Mebar, son of Hagri, Zelek the Ammonite, Nahari the Berathite, the armor-bearer of Joab, son of Zeruiah, Ira the Ithrite, Gareb the Ithrite, Uriah the Hittite, Zabab of Eli, Adonai, son of Sheza the Reubenite, who was chief of the Reubenites, and the 30 with him, Hanan, son of Mecca, Jehoshaphat the Mithnite, Uzziah the Asherathite, Shema and Jill, the son of Hotham the Ararite, Jedilah, son of Shimri, his brother Joha the Tizite, Eliel the Mehavite, Jerubai the and Josephiah, the sons of Elnam, Ithma the Moabite, Eliel, Obed, and Jessel the Mozabite. Chapter 12, Warriors join David. These were the men who came to David at Ziklag while he was banished from the presence of Saul, king of Kish. They were among the warriors who helped him in battle. They were armed with bows and were able to shoot arrows or to sling stones, right-handed or left-handed. They were relatives of Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. Ahiezer, their chief, and Joash, the sons of Shema, the Gibbethite, Jezel and Pelet, the sons of Asmaveth, Berekah, Jehu, the Anathite, and Ishmai the Gibeonite, a mighty warrior among the 30, who was a leader of the 30, Jeremiah, Jehaziel, Jonan, Jozabad, the Gitterathite, Elazai, Jeremoth, Belai, Shemarai, and Shephatiah the Haraphite, Elkanah, Ishai, Azarel, Jozer, and Josephim the Korahite, and Jalal and Zebediah, the sons of Joram from Gedor. Some Gadites defected to David at his strongholds in the wilderness. They were brave warriors, ready for battle and able to handle the shield and spear. Their faces were the faces of lions, and they were as swift as gazelles in the mountains. Ezer was the chief, Obadiah the second in command, Eliab the third, Mishmaniah the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Attai the sixth, Elah the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, and Mechabani the 11th. These Gadites were army commanders. The least was a march for 100, and the greatest for 1,000. A match for 100, and the greatest for 1,000. Wow. It was they who crossed the Jordan in the first month when it was overflowing all its banks, and they put to fight everyone living in the valley to the east and to the west. Other Benjamites and some men from Judah also came to David in his stronghold. David went out to meet them and said to them, "If you have come to me in peace to help me, I am ready for you to join me. But if you have come to betray me to my enemies, when my hands are free from violence, may the God of our ancestors see it and judge you." Then the Spirit came on Amasai, chief of the 30, and he said, "We are yours, David. We are with you, son of Jesse. Success, success to you, and success to those who help you, for your God will help you." So David received them and made them leaders of his raiding band. Some of the tribes of Manasseh defected to David when he went with the Philistines to fight against Saul. He and his men did not help the Philistines because, after consultation, their rulers sent them away. They said, "It will cost us our heads if he deserts to his master Saul." When David went to Ziklag, these were the men of Manasseh who defected him: Adnah, Zodabad, Zidalel, Michael, Zodabab, Elihu, and Zelathai, leaders of units of 1,000 of Manasseh. They helped David against raiding bands, for all of them were brave warriors, and they were commanders in his army. Day after day, men came to help David until he had a great army like the army of God. Verse 23, others joined David at Hebron. These are the numbers of the men armed for battle who came to David at Hebron to turn Saul's kingdom over to him, as the Lord had said. From Judah, carrying shield and spear, 6,800 armed for battle. From Simeon, warriors ready for battle, 7,100. From Levi, 4,600, including Jehodiah, leader of the family of Aaron, with 3,700 men, and Zadok, a brave young warrior, with 22 officers from his family. From Benjamin, Saul's tribe, 3,000, most of whom had remained loyal to Saul's house until then. From Ephraim, brave warriors, famous in their own clans, 20,800. And from the tribe of Manasseh, designated by name to come and make King David, 18,000. From Issachar, men who understood the times and knew what Israel should do, 200 chiefs with all their relatives under their command. From Zebulun, experienced soldiers prepared for battle with every type of weapon to help David with undivided loyalty, 50,000. From Naphtali, 1,000 officers, together with 37,000 men carrying shields and spears. From Dan, ready for battle, 28,600. From Asher, experienced soldiers prepared for battle, 40,000. And from the east of the Jordan, from Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, armed with every type of weapon, 120,000. All these were fighting men who volunteered to serve in the ranks. They came to Hebron fully determined to make David king over all Israel. All the rest of the Israelites were also of one mind to make David king. The men spent 3 days there with David, eating and drinking, for their families had supplied provisions for them. Also, their neighbors from as far away, Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali, came bringing food on donkeys, camels, mules, and oxen. There were plentiful supplies of flour, fig cakes, raisin cakes, wine, olive oil, cattle, and sheep, for there was joy in Israel. Chapter 13, bringing back the ark. David conferred with each of his officers, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds. He then said to the whole assembly of Israel, "If it seems good to you, and if it is the will of the Lord our God, let us send word far and wide to the rest of our people throughout the territories of Israel, and also to the priests and Levites who are with them in their towns and pasture lands, to come and join us. Let us bring the ark of our God back to us, for we did not inquire of it during the reign of Saul." The whole assembly agreed to do this because it seemed right to all the people. So David assembled all Israel from the Shire River in Egypt to Libo Hamath to bring the ark of God to Kirath Jearim. David and all Israel went to Bala of Judah, Kirath-jearim, to bring it up from there, the ark of the Lord, the ark of God the Lord, who is enthroned between the cherubim, the ark that is called by the name. They moved the ark of God from Abinadab's house on a new cart with Uzzah and Ahio guiding it. David and all the Israelites were celebrating with all their might before God with songs and with harps, lyres, timbrels, cymbals, and trumpets, timbrels. When they came to the threshing floor of Kidon, Uzzah reached out his hand to steady the ark. Because the oxen stumbled, the Lord's anger burned against Uzzah, and he struck him down because he had put his hand on the ark, so he died there before God. Then David was angry because the Lord's wrath had broken out against Uzzah, and to this day that place is called Perez Uzzah. David was afraid of God that day and asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of God to me?" He did not take the ark to be with him in the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. The ark of God remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed his household and everything he had. Chapter 14 and our final chapter this morning, David's house and family. Now Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, along with cedar logs, stonemasons, and carpenters to build a palace for him. And David knew that the Lord had established him as king over Israel, and that his kingdom had been highly exalted for the sake of his people Israel. In Jerusalem, David took more wives and became the father of more sons and daughters. These are the names of the children born to him there: Shemua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibhar, Elisha, Elpelet, Noga, Nepheg, Japiah, Elishama, Beliadah, and Elphelet. Verse 8, David defeats the Philistines. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over Israel, over all Israel, they went up in full force to search for him. But David heard about it and went out to meet them. Now the Philistines had come and raided the valley of Rephaim. So David inquired of God, "Shall I go and attack the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hands?" The Lord answered him, "Go, I will deliver them into your hands." So David and his men went up to Baal Perazim, and there he defeated them. He said, "As waters break out, God has broken out against my enemies by my hand." So that place was called Baal Perazim. The Philistines had abandoned their gods there, and David gave orders to burn them in the fire. Excuse me. Once more the Philistines raided the valley, so David inquired of God again, and God answered him, "Do not go directly after them, but circle around them and attack them in front of the poplar trees. As soon as you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the poplar trees, move out to battle, because that will mean God has gone out in front of you to strike the Philistines' army." So David did as God commanded him, and they struck down the Philistine army all the way from Gibeon to Gezer. So David's fame spread throughout every land, and the Lord made all the nations fear him. That wraps up today's reading. You guys are amazing. You're showing up every day. I'm so proud of you. We are doing it. We're going to have this, the entire Bible read in 2025. So if that's been your goal, you're definitely in the right place. I do encourage you to go back through, reread, take time to be curious, to write some things down, to go to this in prayer, and just to take more time in God's word than just our reading. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Tomorrow we'll be reading in Psalms, and I'll see you at 5:30 tomorrow morning. See y'all.